right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. We're continuing the discussion on the state of the nation. We're talking about matters, politics, and everything in between there. Honorable Godfrey Osotsi is still here, Senator Vihiga, Honorable John Kagusha, Member of Parliament Kurueni is still with us, and Honorable Boni Kalwale, Senator Kakamega. There's something we've delved into now in terms of development and what goes where, but there's something the Deputy President said. Listen to this.
Hii serikali ni kampuni na ni ya shares. Si ndio? Ni ya shares. Kuna wenye kampuni, wale wako na shares mingi, kuna wale wako na chache, kuna wale hawana. Sasa nyinyi mliinvest kwa hii kampuni ya William Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua. Sasa lazima mvune. Yule ambaye alipanda atafanya nini? Simulipanda? Simuliamuka mapema? Mukasema mutaki kusikia mambo ya ile system na nini? Muka invest, mukapanda, mukapalilia, mukaweka mbolea, mukamwagilia maji, wakati ya kuvuna ndio huu.
Honorable Alwal, do you agree with that statement, and is that where the problem is?
I want to comment on that, but please, let us conclude by giving us the right of response to my brother Osotsi. Osotsi, there is something in marketing called product fatigue. ODM and Raila's style of politics has now invited the principle of product fatigue. Look at the nation. Look at the Standard. I don't know about the Star. Your antiques at Jibanje Garden have not captured any meaningful reporting, because even the media is fatigued. Trevor, I'm very sorry with Osotsi, because while he was at Jivanji Gardens shouting himself hoarse, I was in a meeting with the following members of parliament, ranking members of ODM, and they told me, and they told us, because we were many in that meeting, that they're not coming to Jivanji Gardens. One, George Peter Kaluma, a serious brain, a lawyer, experienced MP of ODM, refused to go to Jivanji Garden. I was with him. Two, I was with the chairman of ODM in the same meeting, John Mbadi. He refused to go. Three, I was in the same meeting with the young MP of Kibra, this Okoth. Imram, yes, his name is Imram. Okoth.
No. It's called
Mwalimu
Odera.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, not the MP, the former MP, Imram.
Yes, that's
yes. I was with him in the same meeting. I was in the same meeting with Raphael Wanjala. Those are the kingpins of ODM that members of the public know about. Add that to the 9 who were being vilified the other day, who include the member of parliament of Raila Odinga of home, called Honorable Ochanda, Professor Tom Ojienda, the MP who inherited Raila's constituency, the bigger constituency, Jalango. And you say that product is still not bruised? You are finished. I'm telling you, in 2027, what is happening in ODM is exactly what happened to Ford when Ford was collapsing. It is what happened to Fort Kenya when Fort Kenya was collapsing. It is what has happened to Kanu when Kanu has collapsed. ODM has gone the same path. Now, Honorable Gachagua, I have looked for him. I have sent him 3 missed calls. He's here to call me, because I really wanted him to tell me about this clip. He hasn't called me yet. I know he'll call me. But my perception is that Gachagua was talking to some particular audience there. The audience, from his words and the response, they're not showing us, looks like he was talking to some Mount Kenya voters. That was the language of congratulating the people for voting for their party, their presidential candidate, and the guy won. He was not reckless the way Uhuru was when Uhuru told us that sisi tutaendelea kula nyama kama wengine wanameza mate. He said it, and the footage is here. So, an experienced administrator like Gachagua, I do not expect him to think that the government of Kenya serves to only deliver to the people who voted for it. I would be shocked if that was his mindset and his belief. A government, once in power, serves all and sundry. I finished.
Okay. Gachagua. I don't know if Kagusha is almost as it was Gachagua. Kagusha, what do you make of DP statement?
I think once again, before I comment on the DP statement, I would also want to give a right of reply.
Yeah.
When God wanted to confuse the human race, when they were building the Tower of Babel, at some point they thought they would build and get all the way to God. He made them now speak in different languages. And with the product fatigue, as Honorable Halwale has put it, it is now the end of ODM as you ever knew it. And those people are now going to be speaking in different languages as they look for the new kingpin in that region. And by the way, they will try to replicate the same Mount Kenya matrix or a script that they have seen happening. And you're going to see them just looking for that space. And so it's not too long before you see this Tower of Babel coming down, tumbling. And I also want to inform my brother here, because we are privy to some information that he may not be aware of from his speech and from what he's alluding here. The rallies, the political rallies in Azimio and ODM, so to say, are highly mobilized. In fact, they are well oiled. There is a dynastic power that is oiling and supplying resources to these ODM rallies. And maybe that is just for information for my honorable member here, because he may not be aware of that, because I also know he's not at the center of all this. Even yesterday, he appeared for the prayers as a matter of convenience. You know, when you're in town and something is happening just around town, many people tend to. Otherwise, Honorable Osotsi, ask him how many rallies he has attended out of the 11 he's alluding to. He may attend the one in Kakamega, but how many more has he attended? I know him very well. And even after attending that, he rushed back to Parliament. I saw him at the cafeteria. Yeah, very fast. He couldn't stay there longer. So it's a lie that there is no mobilization. There is a very serious mobilization attempt to try and bring people together. But again, you don't need to mobilize people in town. If you start at Kenicom and start shouting, Upiga Mayowe, you will see, you will have a crowd of people who will come surrounding you. You've even seen the people who come there with the Uganga things, the way they have, the way they attract a lot of attention. And the issue of importation of food, sometimes we have eyes, we don't see. We have ears, we don't hear. The issue of importation of food, the government has told importers, you cannot import food which is going to be more than 4,200 shillings. If you're importing maize, you cannot sell to us, or you cannot import at more than that price. If you have to import, then you know we are putting a price capping. And the millers are protesting. They are saying it's not practical. It's going to be difficult to import at that price. And so that is what there is. Government is insisting we are not trying to import food here with high prices. And so
Speaker, why are you struggling about food importing and so on? Just ask Senator Osotsi to pinch himself. Osotsi, pinch yourself. Are you real? During the handshake, as we went into the election, the price of a 2-kilogram packet of maize was 230. Pinch yourself. Right now, it is 140. Do you live in this country? So have we reduced it, or have we?
It's 180 shillings. It's 180 shillings.
180.
No,
I don't know where you buy your maize.
No, I buy my maize from where you, not my maize mill. From where it has come down from 230 to 140.
280.
Yeah.
It is 100.
So, I mean, that's a drop.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to challenge his thinking that the Kenya Kwanza government has not done anything.
Yeah.
It has done so much to bring that cost of food. And can you imagine?
Down.
Can you imagine? It was 230 and there was subsidy. Now it is let's go with your price. It's 180 and there is no subsidy. Can you know, that's why you see him scratching his head, because who was benefiting from this subsidy? this subsidy was never going to the common
Can he
man.
answer your question?
This was something that was actually a corrupt network.
Yeah.
And this was going to the same. And that's why now, when the millers are told, you cannot import with more than this price, they are up in arms. And you can see the kind of things they're now talking about. And let me say this. As a member of parliament, as a senator, we have a platform and we have an opportunity to bring change to our people in a very big way. Members of parliament who come from areas that grow coffee and that grow tea, what they have done is that they have realized that Kenyans have been cornered for so long. And what have they done? They have come up with a caucus where I have some members from Western Kenya also who are sitting. And in this caucus, they are coming up with meaningful solutions as to deal with this issue of coffee. We are not looking up to the president, neither are we looking up to the deputy president to bring this solution. We are looking, we have made a caucus up, amongst ourselves, and we have concocted solutions. You saw what we did yesterday in the National Assembly.
Trevor,
we brought
I'll give you a chance.
We brought a motion and a bill to the National Assembly yesterday to annul some of the regulations that had been done before, and this has been done with a lot of research. And so what I'm trying to say is this: as a member of parliament, whether you're in opposition or you're in government, you have a platform, you have an opportunity to bring change to your people. And I can tell you, sooner than later, you're going to see how coffee is going to be profitable and tea. And I would suggest, my brother, we have the issue of sugar. The Mumias now is roaring back to activity. I would suggest that let us not look at any other person other than ourselves.
Yeah.
If you don't get involved into this and come up with solutions for the people of Western Kenya in terms of how do we ensure that this sugar will not go down again. Okay. That is the only way we are going to make a difference as members of parliament.
Yeah,
and
but
I'm
I'd like
happy
to hear your comments on what the DP said.
And I'm happy.
Because many people are saying that is where the problem really is.
That's okay. And I'm happy about the fact that we are getting a lot of support from the very top. But it's out of our own initiative as members of parliament. And I'm happy that the DP himself has actually put it clear that he's going to help us deal with those cartels that may be beyond our reach. But we are doing it together in different ways. We are dealing with it in legislation as much as we also deal it on the other side of political interventions. As to the issue of Deputy President alluding to the issue of
Kenya being a company with shares. There are those who have a little, and those who don't have.
I want you to maybe get it from like what Honorable Boni already has said, that there was an audience that Honorable or His Excellency Deputy President was addressing. And I want you to look at what is actually happening in government. If you look at the kind of visit His Excellency, the Deputy President Gachagua, and His Excellency, the President William Samoei Ruto, have made, and the inroads they are making to areas where they were not elected, and if you have listened to their pronouncements about how they are going to serve all Kenyans, then you are left with no doubt that Kenya government, the Kenya Kwanza government, is a government for everyone. And that has been said over and over again. And you have seen the kind of inroads the two of them have done together with other leaders to all Kenyans. If you look at even the appointments that are happening in government, they are targeting every other Kenyan. And there's nobody who is being left behind at all. Even Western Kenya, as Honorable Osotsi would like to try and say, we have the topmost leadership. Yeah, my leader of National Assembly, our Prime Cabinet Secretary, and many other positions in government are going to those areas and to many other areas. Now, the issue of Deputy President addressing this matter was to targeted audience.
He was in Kericho, by the way. So it wasn't about
that is it. It was targeted audience. And he was referring to Dr. Rono. Are you getting? He was just trying to justify, you have Dr. Rono as a PS for water and irrigation. And he was just trying to resonate with the people in Kericho. But in the larger sphere of things, if you look at his actions, if you look at what the government is doing, it is addressing the issue of the whole country together.
Was he simply just wrong, Kagusha, in making that statement? the DP? Was it just wrong of him of making that statement?
No, this was an analogy. This was an analogy he was using to the people of Kericho.
Okay.
Yeah.
Osotsi?
Well, you know, this morning I'm disadvantaged because I'm having to...
Stop crying, Osotsi.
Against one Azimio, but I am trying. Let me just make a very quick rejoinder to what they have said before I address the Gachagua thing. You know, during the election, we had them tell us that we are going to reduce the cost of unga to up to 70 shillings per packet. You heard that. And I remember on several occasions, including this media house, they were challenged. Is it realistic? And they said, we know how it is going to work, and we'll do it. And even Ruto himself said, the moment I put my Bible down, the unga will be down. So these excuses they are giving us are not making sense, are not convincing. By telling us that we have tried to reduce one packet to 180 shillings. It's not convincing at all. What Kenyans want is that you promise them, where is the delivery? The delivery is not there. You have asked for more time, you are given more time. It's now 6 months, nothing is happening. Okay, that aside, let me go to the issue my two colleagues are trying to avoid. The Gachagua thing. It is unfortunate. At the same time, sincere. Unfortunate because Gachagua is really putting himself in a very awkward position. The second in command in a regime to engage in reckless talk, because this is not the first reckless talk. You had the spat between him and Nairobi Governor Sakaja. Very unfortunate. And he has repeated what he said here on several occasions. I have heard him speak somewhere in Nyandarua, telling Mount Kenya people that this is your government, you need to get positions, you need to get development. Now he has repeated it and even made it look a company. Now, I am saying he's sincere because what Rigathi speaks is what is in mind. What Rigathi speaks is what they discuss with his boss. Is the thinking around Kenya Kwanza. Is the thinking around Ruto. They discuss these things. The difference is that he's not able to lie, like the others who lie. He speaks it out, and now Kenyans know the truth. And even before he spoke, we can see major appointments, most of the appointments in cabinet, PSS, and even in parastatals are occupied by people from two communities, the Kikuyus and the Kalenjin. That is the truth. And if you see even the pattern, where we have another community as a CS, we have a PS who is a Kalenjin, or a senior person there. That is the trajectory in government. And Gachagua just spoke what people know. So he was very sincere, and I like him for that, for being sincere. But I think as a deputy president of this regime, which we don't recognize as in Azimio, it is unfortunate. I think he needs to be trained on speech making. He needs to understand that a person of that position in a government, he needs to be a unifying person. And unifying is not just in deeds, but even in what he speaks to the public. So it's really unfortunate, and especially now that people are talking about issues that affect them, issues of education, issues of cost of living, issues of corruption. This is the wrong time for him to talk about these matters. I know even people in Mount Kenya are suffering. They are business people. They are not able to make money. And now you are telling them that it's only a select few who will have access to tenders, government tenders. And I want to tell you, Trevor, you know, we are back to the moment of tenderpreneurship. I see it all over in this town within a short time. The individuals within this government are engaged in tenderpreneuring all over. They have opened big offices. Their work is to do tenderpreneurship. And that is corruption. So what he spoke is actually corruption, and in a very decent state.
Yeah.
He would be asked by the equivalent of EACC to respond to those issues that touch on his integrity.
Okay.
Because you cannot speak that kind of language to the people in public.
All right.
But let us agree that Gachagua, I served with him in the 12th Parliament, and I know when it comes to speaking out his mind, he's very honest.
Okay.
And this one, he was very honest, only that the content of what he spoke is very unpalatable to many people.
Okay.
But that is the thinking around Ruto. That is the thinking around his system. It is about two groups.
All right.
The Mount Kenya and the Rift Valley. Luyas, where me and Bonnie belong, they are insignificant in that arrangement.
Okay.
That's why even appointments are not coming their way.
Yeah, let's talk about appointments now. And the Deputy President did rectify yesterday during the Nairobi River Commission launch. He mentioned that the President should serve all Kenyans, and he, as UDA, he will deal with the UDA members. So that aside, Alwale, let's talk about the list of the Chief Administrative Secretaries. Initially, it was 224. Then it was reviewed to 240. Out of that list, 8 former governors were listed there. Now, the final 18 have not been chosen yet. But the simple fact that the 8 governors were listed there, do they have undue and unfair advantage that then crowds out other deserving members of the Republic?
Thank you. The issue of appointments, I had wanted not to talk about it because I was allowing the Western Kenya audience to see Osotsi frying himself. I said, Osotsi appears not to be real. Osotsi, again, I beg you, pinch yourself this morning, you wake up. Appointments? That is for Kalenjins and Kikuyus? William Ruto? Osotsi.
Yes.
Musalia Mudavadi from Vihiga, Chief Minister. Wetangula,
let him
keep
finish.
quiet.
Let him finish.
Wetangula from Bungoma, Speaker of the National Assembly and the 3rd most highest ranking official in government under the Constitution. Ichegai from Likuyani, Minister. Yes? Susan Nahumicha from Chitali, Minister. Ababu from Busia, Minister. Permanent Secretaries. BTC Nyangala from Kakamega, James Muhati from Kakamega, Susan Mangeni from Busia, Hadija Nganyi, Commissioner of the Commission for Revenue Allocation from Mumias. Listen to me. Boards, you have seen boards. Your former colleague, Mwambu, is in charge of the board, insurance. Your friend, former MP for Nambale, was appointed the other day. He's been given a board. Hangati has been given the sugar board. I can go on and on and on. Please say things that can be backed by facts. CAS. What is this big deal? We all read this constitution. The Constitution of Kenya says the president may create any other office he so desires, but with the approval of the public service, any office. So the president chose to create the office of the Cabinet Administrative Secretary. So
Chief.
the public...
Chief Administrative Secretary.
Chief Administrative, yeah. So the Public Service Commission was then invited by the Constitution to come in. What were they supposed to do and what have they done? Under the Constitution, Public Service Commission was supposed to advise the president that in the 22 ministries that you have, for example, the Ministry of Infrastructure is big. Please create 3, maybe 1 for transport, 1 for roads, 1 for airports and stuff like that, maybe 3. Ministry of Health, another example. Probably create 1 for public service, CAS, and another 1 for medical services. And they were to do that for all ministries and stop there. To go ahead and try and populate those ministries, they are doing that which is not given to them by the Constitution. The president is allowing that so as to give the impression that he is not being dictatorial, that he's doing wide consultations. Otherwise, he should have just gone ahead after having been given the slots that he's supposed to populate and name people into it, because appointments to those kind of officers by the president under the Constitution is the prerogative of the president. And that's why when he vacates, he lives with his ministers, with his principal secretaries, and with his cabinet, chief administrative secretaries.
Yeah.
The final point, which is important, is the issue of governance. I would like to disabuse, in fact, debunk the belief on social media that CAS is a tiny little job that should now be given to people as affirmative action, be it people living with disabilities or the youth or the women. No, CAS is a serious ministry, a serious office, because the CAS does what the minister does when the minister is not available. I have served this country faithfully under President Mwai Kibaki as an assistant minister. And I know that because ministries can be so busy, you as the assistant minister or CAS, you help the ministry to remain engaged in all activities by doing some of the things the minister would have been expected to do. That being the case, having proved that it's not meant for affirmative action, may I then speak to the issue of the interest by governors. If CAS office is important, then the best, the most competent should be recruited into those places. If a governor, for example, is competent, all the more reason, a former governor, all the more reason why that former governor should be appointed. If I was the appointing authority, for example, and I'm sorry to give this example, and I'm choosing between a young man like McDonald Mariga, he has applied, he's shortlisted. I'm choosing between him, and for argument's sake, let me use an extreme example. One of the people I don't love, who don't love me, who we are fighting with in courts, Evans Kidero. If I was choosing between McDonald Mariga and Evans Kidero, I will give Kidero. Because Kidero brings experience, brings maturity, brings expertise in terms of his academic background to the office. Unlike the other youth who is bringing in the allure of being youthful and being a sportsman. We want our government to be able to deliver. Government is not going to deliver because of who you appointed for the sake of affirmative action or responding to social media. It is going to deliver because of the competence of the person you have appointed. And therefore, the president, we encourage him. Should you find a governor fit, give him the job. And he shouldn't break his neck over it. I have been out of office speaker for 5 years. I did not run around for appointments. And I didn't break my neck.
Some of them have just not even been out of office for like 6 months. Just term serving governors. But Kagusha, there are those who view this as political rewards rather than competence. when it comes to the 8 governors? Because some of them are two-term governors who just finished their term, actually.
I want to agree with my brother here, Honorable Halwale, on quite a number of things, and of course I will also disagree with him on one or two.
On to others.
I think on the issue of appointments in Western Kenya, I'm happy the way Honorable Halwale has cooled my brother Osotsi here.
Not yet. I'm still going to respond to his yet to speak.
I'm happy with the kind of, with the names that he has enumerated, and they are not few. They are quite a number, and I think there are also many others that I can talk about that Honorable Halwale here may not have mentioned. I know, for example, like now there's a brother of mine from Misihu who is going to be getting a very senior position again, and in fact is coming. Is in the JICO. And the issue of permanent secretary or the principal secretaries, are you aware, Honorable Osotsi, that these positions were one per county? You know, they were all picked from every county. There is no one single county in Kenya that did not benefit from the permanent or the principal secretaries.
Are you sure?
Of course, that is it. There is no one county.
I'll give you an answer.
Yeah, there is no one county in Kenya that did not benefit from that. In fact, they were done one per county. And then if there were to be any addition, it was either 1 or 2 additions. But generally, they came from all the counties. And if you look at even the way the government is also fashioning its development arrangements, is being done per county. Again, if you look at the mega dams that have been proposed for PPP, and they have been already put up for PPP engagement, they are all per county. If you go to your county, you'll get there's 1 mega dam which has been proposed. If you go to Nyeri County, there's 1 mega dam that has been proposed. And that is what is happening. And that is to tell you there's not government for a few people, it's government for everyone. And of course, the issue of Gachagua, again, is that if you look at the way he has been approaching this government, he has helped a lot to bring people who may not have been in the supporting side of government when we were doing elections and campaigns. If you look at the way he has had meetings with the Jubilee MPs and eventually delivering them to the president, and then they work together. If you look at, and these are Jubilee MPs who come from all over, and because very few people from Mount Kenya were elected on Jubilee platform. Then if you look at the Gusii leaders, the other day, they had a meeting with him. They have agreed on development projects. They have agreed on certain things, and he's going to deliver them, I'm sure, to the president sooner than later. So he's a gentleman, really, who is also working very hard to ensure that he's bringing cohesiveness, he's also bringing the country together. And on the issue of appointments for the CASs, maybe where I would want to disagree with my brother here is really about the issue of the young people. If I was given Kidero and Mariga, I would go for Mariga myself, because because we're also looking at freshness also, and people whom we can also tune and train on how to get into government and serve people in a certain. I would be really for younger generation, considering that just about 5 years ago, I was 33 years old. I was elected the Speaker of the County Assembly of Nyeri, a county assembly that was probably most stable in the country, and we were able to deliver a re-election of more than 60% of members of the county assembly in Nyeri County, the leading county on re-elections, by the way. We did not have any other county that had that number of MCAs being re-elected back. I mean, with that, I think I would go for the youthful leaders. Yeah. I have no problem with that. And for that reason, I still want to urge His Excellency the President, even in this list that has now come out, please go for youthful leaders. As much as we are looking at the politically experienced leaders, have them, yes, no problem, okay. But we must also go for those youthful leaders who may not have had so much experience, you know, in government before. And I think the women have been able to push their agenda rather well. They have been able to now get attention that they require. And I think so far now they are doing so well. I would go for youthful young men now also, because the boy child also need to be addressed here.
All right.
Yeah? So,
yeah. Osotsi.
Maybe before I get into that, let me just remind my colleague, my big brother, Bonnie, that, you know, Bonnie is a scientist. He's a doctor, and any scientist understands mathematics. If you look at the composition of the cabinet, you find that we only have 2 lawyers. That is Musalia Mudavadi and Nakumicha. But Nakumicha.
And Chigai?
Chigai, that is not a cabinet position.
And Ababu?
Yeah, maybe Ababu. 3. Now,
Chigai is a
sorry, on that one, position. You have corrected me. Yeah. But Mount Kenya and Rift Valley, they occupy 14 positions. More than half of the total number of cabinet members, 24. Now, you go for the PS, it's the same thing. So when you talk about our people are benefit, look at the mathematics and compare with the 2 regions that I was referring to. He has talked about every county has 1 PS. I want to authoritatively confirm to you that Vihiga County, where I'm the senator, there is no single permanent principal secretary. And the people are very unhappy because the likes of Kialangwa and others who are there have been replaced. So it is not true that every county has a principal secretary. Now let me go to the issue of CAS. It's a circus. Trevor, it's a circus. First of all, the whole process of shortlisting, interviewing, is a circus. And how I wish they were just bold enough to just appoint people without taking the country through this process. Because I can tell you, looking at the people who applied and looking at their shortlist, something is wrong. Because I know of people who are very qualified, who applied for these positions, and they have not been shortlisted. And look at the names which have been shortlisted there. Some of them don't even have good certificates, but they have found themselves on the list. And PhD people, people with strong qualifications are missing out. So they already know who they want to give these jobs. They should just give them the jobs. Instead of cheating the country that they are taking us through a competitive process, which is not competitive. 2, it is very unfortunate that someone who has been a governor can struggle to become a CAS. Why? They are actually reducing the value of a governor. I visited Nigeria about a month ago. And I want to tell you that what I saw in that country, someone called a governor is a serious person, is a potential president, because he's in charge of a state. In this country, governors also are powerful. But they need to understand that when they exit power, they should not demean themselves. Okay. To the extent of struggling to become small people in government. I know of a county where a governor is now acting as a CEC. I think it's Taita Taveta. It is very demeaning. Some of these governors have been in government for long. Look at someone like Ongwae. He has been the head of TSC. He has been a PS. He has been a governor. Now he wants to be a CAS in a government. And we know CAS have no work to do. These are people who go to the office to read the newspapers and wait to go and represent the substantive cabinet secretary in parliament to answer questions. So they are really demeaning themselves, and it's very unfortunate. Okay. And also look at the credibility of the people on the list. Most of them have corruption cases. Kidero, who my brother here has fought for a good reason. Yeah. He's there, and most likely is going to be given the job. When lawyers see that name on the list, they feel so sad because they remember what has happened to Mumias Sugar Company. So it is unfortunate that the people who are going to be given the jobs are unknown. Okay. They are taking us through a circus. They already know the people they want. They should just give them the jobs. Okay. Instead of lying to the country that they are engaged in a competitive process when they are not.
Trevor, okay. We have to help the public to understand the lie that my brother is selling this morning. He complains that Vihiga has been locked out from permanent principal secretaries. My brother,
It is a truth.
did you want all the positions of government to go to lawyers? Or did you want lawyers to get 50% of the government? Vihiga.
Population, mathematics.
Vihiga. Let's go to Vihiga. Vihiga. Vihiga is a very tiny constituency, a very tiny county. A tiny county whose 2 constituencies alone give the voting power whose voting power as a county is equal to the voting power of Malaba constituency and Lugari constituencies in Kakamega put together. It's a small county. Be grateful for what you're getting. Don't ask for too much. Here it is. Yusuf Chanzo was appointed when the county missed out. Yes, chairman of the board. When the county missed out on principal secretary. At the same time, Mudavadi had been made minister and made to be the overall minister. Number 3, on the issue of the shortlisting of the CAS, you are saying that you are unhappy that people who are better qualified in Vihiga have been denied.
Not in,
Jacqueline Mwenesi,
generally.
let me speak.
Generally.
Jacqueline Mwenesi, who is on the list, she comes from Vihiga, she's a high school teacher. Agoi is a graduate. Alfred Agoi, former MP of Sabatia, he's on the list. Indimuli is a graduate, he's on the list. Why do you want to come and tell people that the people of Vihiga don't have educated fellows on this list? And then coming on the lie that you're proposing about governors. Governors are not supposed to die as soon as they come out of office. Life goes on. And this is why you can see some of us who are fighting corruption in this country, we are saying that Governor Professor Kivuda Kibwana should be given an opportunity to run EACC. We are saying we are so proud of Governor Ali Roba. Ali Roba now, he's not only just a senator, but we have made him the chairman of the Budget and Finance Committee in the Senate. Governor Mandago, we've made him the chairman of infrastructure, roads, and so on, because these people have credentials that will add value. You want governors to go and die? Governor Ongwae, maybe you are too new on public platform, you don't know. Governor Ongwae has contributed so much on the education platform in this country. He was actually the boss of, remember? TSC.
Okay.
Yes. So if he's given a role to play, maybe, Trevor, he might just help us in correcting the mess that we have inherited from Uhuru and Raila, the handshake government, in terms of education.
All right. Let me bring up some feedback because time is running out, and then I'll give you a minute each for closing remarks. But then I'm also wondering what you just said, Honorable Alwale, that how then who would answer Mandela audit queries when the former governor is now the senator? But that's a story for another day. Let's bring up who would answer the Mandela audit questions.
And in fact, allow me to respond to that. The governor is also now the senator. So let's bring up the feedback first, then we'll take your closing remarks on that as well. Just a few minutes from here. 13 minutes. Let's see. Asamoah says, why should Azimio legislate on food prices? Kenya Kwanza, administrative instruments of government and majority in parliament. Why can't Boni Mtetezi ask Kenya Kwanza to use majority in house to fix the food prices?
Which we are doing.
Okay. Let's see what else you're saying. Engineer Lazarus, they should be reminded that they pushed Raila to be in the opposition and the work of opposition isn't to clap for the government. Why are they so angry? Cost of living is climbing beyond means and president can only offer prayers. Moga Siak says, mass action is not about Raila, but about us ordinary Kenyans suffering the ravages of high cost of living. We shall hold peaceful demonstrations countrywide to say enough is enough. Magua says, it's so sad that Honorable Halwale and Kagushia are inconsiderate and totally out of touch with reality. Kenyans out here are really suffering. Food is unaffordable, say it meant unaffordable. Fees is high, fuel, electricity, water, and unga. But the duo take it as a Raila affair. Babu Michael says, Kenya Kwanza government, since they got into office, they entered a comfort zone. They no longer take critical matters affecting the common mwananchi as a matter of urgency. They postpone everything. Time will tell. Bob Otieno, challenges Kenyans are facing won't be solved by mass action or the so-called maandamanos as an opposition. Azimio Kenya has an open window in the constitution to solve the problems affecting Kenyans if they think government has failed. All right, Odongo Rolex says, in this case, I think Raila is right. The high cost of living we are in right now is shocking. Do not underestimate Baba. This mass demonstration might work. Godi Baraza says, it seems that as a country, we have not yet moved away from insignificant politicking. Azimio and Kenya Kwanza are looking for any available opportunity to checkmate each other while abdicating their roles to deliver real service to Kenyans. Haley Travis says, the distinguished people of Luo Nyanza know their destiny and they hold such dearly. The tough economic times cuts across. The talk of Luo liberation is pure balderdash. Where? Okay. Leonard Masika says, instead of focusing on what the Kenya Kwanza government promised us, they have started chiding what the Azimio is doing in the country, which us citizens see as an opposition playing its role. Tell Honorable Kalwale to forget about the handshake and remind the president to focus on the promises. Dennis Ogeto says, yesterday Gachagua clarified his remarks and said that the president will serve all Kenyans and he, Gachagua, to serve the UDA people. Gachagua is out of order. Babu Michael says it's sad that the political class make life hard for Kenyans from every aspect and again take the situation as their campaign tool while people are really suffering no matter your political alignment. The Kenya Kwanza government must just act. Sawe says mass action may seem like a powerful tool for change, but they can have severe consequences on our growing economy. Disruptions to business infrastructure and investor confidence can have long-lasting impacts. Let's strive for peaceful and constructive ways. Sam Juguna, last one, says, Boni Mtetezi, if you say senior leaders should be appointed for even the lowest of positions, then when will the youth get into government? What did you mean with serikali ya mama mboga na boda boda? All right, closing remarks. I'll start with you, Honorable Alwale. 2 minutes.
Just 2 comments.
Yes.
The first one is that I want to assure the youth that if they sit there expecting to be given, they will not get it.
Okay.
They have to do what we did. They should ask us what we did. At the age of 22, I had already plunked into the arena of politics as a young university student. And this is how Ekolomani identified me and then went on and voted for me. If you go sitting there thinking that you will be picked because you are a youth man, there are so many youth and there are so few positions, you got to prove yourself.
Okay.
My last comment, I'm being pushed by the people from Western, is to correct my brother Osotsi. He has said that Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula took our community to government. I need to correct you. The truth is, Wetangula and Mudavadi were in handshake and in BBI. And when one, Boni Khalwale, did Musparasa, Rashid Echeza, Wanjala, not Wanjala, did Musparasa and the MP of Webuye and Mwambu Mabonga insisted and we remained. The people saw the common sense and they came where we were. So Mudavadi and Wetangula then ran away from BBI and handshake to come where the people were.
Okay.
You need to have that clear. Mudavadi and Wetangula did not take me to government. They found me there.
Okay.
And they found the Abaluya there.
All right. Kagusha, closing remarks, 1 minute.
Thank you. I want to... I mean, when it comes to what Kenyans are going through, I would like to point out clearly that I do not think at any one point we are closing our eyes. And at no one point have we said in this show that Kenyans do not have challenges. Kenyans do have challenges. Probably what we are asking Kenyans is to look at the way we are going to have, or the way we are bringing about solutions. And what we are saying, mass action is not going to bring solutions. It can only worsen the situation. And also what we are telling them, what you need to know, and we have learned this from the past, Raila Odinga is not pushing for mass action to help them. He is pushing for mass action, not because of the high cost of living, but to earn leadership or to gain power. And the moment he gains power, he will abandon them. And the best route and the only route for us to fix the economy and the challenges of the high cost of living is by working together and finding practicable solutions.
Okay.
And I have clearly demonstrated that members of parliament who come from tea growing and coffee growing areas have formed a very strong caucus which is advocating, and not only advocating, but legislating to have better prices for farmers.
Okay.
And that is the only way the hustlers and our bottom-up economic model is going to be working.
Okay.
By ensuring that what we promised people during the election about the guaranteed minimum returns works, that is how we are doing it. And
All right.
we are not postponing it, and we are not doing it tomorrow, we are doing it now.
Okay. Osotsi, closing remark.
Well, I think the hot topic here is cost of living and other challenges that we are facing as a country, the debt crisis, the economy, inflation, and all that. I think these are issues that we are engaging the public as Azimio, and will continue engaging the public because they are dear to all Kenyans, as you can see from the comments from the people who are listening and watching us. So we will continue. Despite the threats, you've seen the threats from Ruto, we will not be intimidated. We will continue with our meetings. This weekend we are having meetings in Kakamega and Kitale, and we are asking our supporters and all the people who think well for this country to turn up and engage us on those issues. And the issue of appointment into government, we want appointment to be based on merit, appointment to be based on objectivity, and the right people to be given the jobs, and not people who are being recycled for political considerations.
All right.
For my colleague, big brother, whom I respect a lot, Honorable Khalwale, you know, Mheshimiwa Khalwale is one of the leaders I've admired when I was still in university, when he had started politics, Ford Kenya politics, and all that. And he has always occupied the space of the people. But I think I sympathize with him because he's in a very awkward position now, where he is finding himself in a position to try and defend what cannot be defended. And it is very unfortunate for him, because I know he's better suited on this other side than where he is. Okay. And you know, let me tell you, Trevor, you know, he was elected overwhelmingly by Azimio supporters.
Okay.
Because they think he has the same ideology with us.
Okay.
That's why he won very easily as a senator.
We really have let me make you laugh. Just one. You know, I don't know why it escaped my mind. It is because what is in a name. He tried to contradict him that there is no PS from Vihiga. Actually, there is. In Vihiga, we have a community called the Terek in Hamisi constituency. My brother, Engineer Tum, is from Cheriki. He's a PS. Okay. So, if it is tribalism which is driving you, tell us. Vihiga has a PS.
We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for making time. That's a deep break for now. And then coming up next is cooking tips. Bye for now.